Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. Welcome to the instant match reaction to Everton 1, West Ham 3. How on earth could that have possibly gone any more wrong? I do not know. Everton just need to find new ways to disappoint you and cause you more pain and anguish and ruin your Saturdays. Uh, where do you start with that? I mean, I've just, as we speak, before I've gone on to this video, I've just checked the XG statistics. I think we've lost the game with about 2.86 XG against West Ham's 1 point something. We were certainly the more attacking team. I think I'd probably be generous to say that we were the better team because we were awful in some ways. But we generated about double the chances they did, had double the amount of shots on target. All the stats suggest that we were on top. But I level the game to tell a different story. I thought we were terrible for the most part. I thought we just didn't. I just thought we didn't look on the ball at all. We couldn't knock the ball around with any cohesion. The more technical players of ours all had bad games. Yeah, the first half was a really poor performance from both sides. It really came to like second half, and we'll go into that. But of course, we have to talk about we got our first penalty of the season, and of course, Beto missed it. Areola saves it. Areola had a good game in goal for West Ham, but I think his performance was probably a bit overstated. I think the real reason that we haven't won this game is because our finishing was atrocious. A lot of the saves that Areola made, you'd expect him to make, I think. Our shooting just wasn't at it as usual. Um, I think, like I say, Beto missed the penalty, missed another chance in the first half, but finally did get the breakthrough early in the second half, 1-0 up. You're thinking, okay, let's go and try and win this. Dwight McNeil then misses a really easy chance. And then we can see the soft goal from a corner. Zoom scores about 10 minutes after we score, back to 1-1. And then it's, back to being a bit of a war of attrition. More end to end, both sides go for it a bit more. And then we get sucker punched in at a time. Sushek gets the second goal for West Ham in the 91st minute, and then they get a 95th minute third as they sort of punish us for chasing the game after that for obvious reasons. But there were so many moments where we got it so wrong today. I thought Dwight McNeil was terrible. He's one of my favourite players normally. He's one of our most gifted players, but he was awful today. As was Jack Harrison, another one of the more technical players, didn't turn up at all. I'm absolutely pig sick of seeing him turning back onto his left foot every single time. And the few times he crosses with his right, it goes straight to the keeper. James Garner put a great cross in for Beto's goal, but other than that, I thought he was poor. Anana, I, sometimes he looks great, and sometimes he looks like he's not even amateur. He's like so miss. Sky's a really we had a really good attack at one stage, and he just skies a shot from outside the box over the bar, wastes the opportunity. So many wasted opportunities, like say the McNeil miss. Beto missed one in the first half. There was a couple of other chances that we didn't really make the most of. Um, so many things just went wrong today. Sean Dyche made a couple of substitutes. Brought Gomez on, who didn't really do anything. He was ineffective. Um, the substitutes didn't really make an impact. Calvert-Lewin again did nothing really when he came on. I was actually surprised he subbed Beto off because he was one of the few who did perform despite the missed penalty. Obviously got the goal and was more of a handful than Calvert-Lewin was, that's for sure. And probably the only one of the front six who could actually hold his head high today. Everybody else was atrocious, I thought. Decore wasn't his usual self. Loads of bad decision making. Mikalenko wasn't his usual self. Just so many bad performances. Brantwaite and Tarkowski were okay at the back, but obviously we still got caught out for a couple of goals, and there's no one who really. There's certainly no one getting higher than a 6 or a 7 out of 10 at a push in that game. It was a really, really bad performance. What concerns me is that, we know that we're technically quite limited. We're not one of the best sides in the league. We're short on quality. But one thing that I think Sean Dyche seems to have always had is battling spirit. And, he's always tried to keep his teams very fit. And we look so pathetically unfit today, so weak. Um, Players falling over on the ball and, giving up the lost causes when they'd normally run after them. And I think McNeil in particular seems to be absolutely running on fumes. The players just don't look fit enough. And I think a lot of that's a consequence of them being overworked. And again, that's a consequence of the squad not being big enough and the players in reserve not being good enough to be trusted with minutes. And again, you can ask questions of Sean Dyche. Is he right to leave the reserves out and not give them more of a chance? I mean, Beto maybe came in from the cold and did a bit better today, but most of the players who were on the bench, you'd suggest no, they don't really offer anything. So, Sean Knight to an extent has his hands tied, but even then he still needs to be doing better than he's been doing recently. I think it's time to recall Nathan Patterson, and I know he's not been amazing, but he offers more going forward than any of the other right back options. I don't think Godfrey offers anything at all going forward. And at this stage, the onus is now on us to start winning games of football. We can't just be playing for draws all the time. Um, we've got to start winning a game. It's like 14 games now without a win. The worst run since Mike Walker. And, you know, we, teams who go on runs like that get relegated. End of story. Doesn't matter whether you've had a points deduction or not. We've got some points back this week, which is good news, of course. But that's absolutely, we've just dropped 3 points there. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how many points the Premier League take off or give back or whatever happens. There might be points taken off for us, and that might be the only thing that could save us at this rate because the form we're on is absolutely the form of a team that goes down. No wins in 14, it's atrocious. Mike Walker, we all speak of Mike Walker as one of the worst managers of this club, and that run that he went on in '94 was so bad that you couldn't not sack him. So Sean Dyche is so lucky that the club haven't got the money to sack him and haven't got the leadership to sack him that he's probably got this long. But again, I don't know how much of it's his fault. Players are awful. And if Sean Dyche is a manager worth his salt, the only thing he can hope for now is to get through this Man United game next week. And then obviously the Liverpool game's been postponed and then there's an international break. So he needs to use that 3 week window between the United game and the Bournemouth game. And he has to put these players through the paces. He spoke about this Gaffer's Day that he has sometimes in pre-season. They need one of them. The players need put them through the paces and really get them pushed back to full fitness. Because then, if that's the case, then we might have a chance of getting out of this. But at the moment, I just do not see how we're going to stay up, regardless of the fact that we've got some of those points given back to us. We're just hoping that all the teams are worse than us, as was the case in the previous 2 years. And thankfully, today, all the teams lost. Nottingham Forest lost in the last minute. Brentford threw away a win and then drawing with Chelsea. Palace were winning and ended up losing 3-1 as we did late on as well. So all the other results went our way. As usual, we did not take advantage and the wait for the win goes on. No wins since December. If we don't beat United and don't beat Bournemouth, we could be looking at entering April without a win since December. That is absolutely appalling, no matter what way you put it. And, I know a lot of the results in between have been draws, but still, you can't draw your way to safety. You've got to win some games. You've got to fight your way out of this. And nobody today, as far as Everton were concerned, looked like they were up for a fight. The performances were so lazy, so lackadaisical. The manager didn't wasn't proactive enough either, in my opinion, when things we conceded the goal, which should really have been going a bit harder for that win. Players out there clearly weren't performing. There needs to be more proactive changes from the management. And again, I know there's not a lot on offer, but he's got to try and do something different to what he's been doing recently because the results speak for themselves. It's not delivering the goods, and yeah, that we have to start finding ways of winning games. That was a really big opportunity today, and it was wasted. And some of the players, quite frankly, should hang their heads in shame for their performances today. That was just absolutely not good enough. Not enough effort. And that's the very least as Everton fans that we ask of the players. So players need to take a long look at themselves. You go to Man United next week. I don't see how we're going to get anything out of that, to be quite honest with you. I'm not confident at all. And quite frankly, I'm just praying that we just find a way of turning this around later in the season. Hopefully the players can, like I say, that they can be, the manager can really put them through the paces and get them back to full fitness, and we can compete again as we did earlier in the season to a better extent. Because right now the players don't look fit enough to do the jobs being asked of them. The players don't look like they're able to do the best. Maybe they are given the best, but the best isn't enough, and that is because they're being run into the ground. There needs to be a real turnaround in terms of the fitness needs, the fitness levels need to be brought back up to where they were a while ago. You know, we've had a few injuries. Those injuries need to be managed. The players need to be given a chance to fully recover. You know, get through this Man United game without any more injuries and just get to that break. And hopefully we come back against Bournemouth and ready to compete as we were able to, in October, November, December, where we were given better accounts of ourselves. That's all we can hope for at this stage, and hope that other teams are bad enough to stay below us until then. But it's really looking bleak now. It's so concerning. I'm so depressed, to be honest with you. I can't frankly take much more of Everton right now. It's just, yeah, it's just, like I say, they just keep finding new ways to make you miserable. So yeah, I'll leave it at that before I end up phoning the Samaritans, to be honest with you. It's a pretty, it just gets more and more depressing week on week, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I can't talk about it much more. Let us know your opinions. Everton 1, West Ham 3. Uh, let us know your opinions. Give us a comment, like, and subscribe. Until next time, guys. Thanks for tuning in on the top.